Recall that recently 16 governors out of the 36 state governors of the Federal Republic of Nigeria took the EFCC to the court, questioning the laws that established the EFCC, that gave the EFCC the powers, most especially to probe state governors across the nation. Many spoke in support of the EFCC, while others spoke against the EFCC, claiming that the manner of operation of the EFCC was lamentable, that they were going beyond the scope of the operation.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has announced the successful prosecution of 4 former governors and 2 former ministers over the past 12 months under the leadership of the Executive Chairman, Ola Olukoyede. This was disclosed during a press briefing in Abuja, where Mr. Olukoyede, who was represented by the agency's Director of Public Affairs, Wilson Wajaran, highlighted the Commission's significant achievement in asset recovery and fraud prevention. He stated that among the high-profile figures charged are former Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State, Abdul Fattah Ahmed of Kwara State, Willie Obiano of Anambra State, and Darius Ishaku of Taraba State. It's also disclosed that the EFCC charged former Minister Salim Maman and Olu Aguloye for misappropriating funds for the Mambila hydroelectric power project, which was 33.8 billion naira and $6 billion, respectively. Hadi Sirika also faces 2 cases, including fraud involving 5.8 billion naira. The EFCC has reclaimed assets worth 248.7 billion and has also made strides against currency hoarding, achieving over 35 convictions. Well, joining us Vazim for this conversation is a lawyer, Justice Uhegbu. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. It is my pleasure once more.
Thank you for joining us. So let's begin with your own perspective as a lawyer who has an understanding of these things. Talk to us about your own understanding of the EFCC's operations, and would you say they are really adhered to the law in the course of duty?
Well, the truth is that EFCC actually they are doing their job. That is actually the main reason for setting up EFCC, the anti-graft agency. But for me personally, I would say that it's not a big deal. Why I say it's not a big deal? That because they are doing their job, one, and secondly, I think and I believe that it's even coming a bit late. It's even coming late. Nigerians have high expectations on EFCC, and all this while EFCC for some time now have not been actually performing and doing what they are supposed to do. So for me, Nigerians have not really been happy with EFCC all this while, the way they are handling issues, especially when it concerns the VIPs, the so-called VIPs, let me put it that way. So it's nothing to joy about, or nothing to begin to say we are happy as far as I'm concerned.
Well, if you're saying it's not something to be happy about, would you say that the EFCC has done quite well in ensuring that high-profile cases are prosecuted? You can recall in the past where high-profile people who have been arrested and the case didn't go anywhere. But would you give this EFCC chairman some kudos in the fact that some high-profile cases have been prosecuted, and he has promised that more will also go the same way?
If as far as I'm concerned, that is where we are getting it wrong. As a human rights lawyer, we see every Nigerian as the same. For me, there's nothing like high-profile person. And that is the problem we're having in this country. Because the rule of law is just equality before the law. So you don't treat A different and treat B different. I think that is the problem we are having in this side of the society. So we will begin to say high profile people, and when they do one or two things, we begin to clap for them. No. Everybody is equal before the law. And when somebody has fallen short of the law, the person is supposed to be arrested, investigated, and prosecuted. But the problem, like I said before, is yes, in the time being, all this while, EFCC has not been up and doing. Okay. Now, you see, let us be realistic and tell ourselves the truth. It's not a matter of carrying them to court. You see, Nigerians don't really have trust. And the anti-drug agencies again. Now you are taking them to court. At the end of the day, you may not hear anything about this matter again. The matter will just die electoral death, or it will be placed under the carpet. So what are we saying? Are they doing it to please Nigerians, or to bring it on the limelight in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
But they are accountable to Nigerians, so they might be doing it just to give information to Nigerians that this is what they have been doing all the while.
The issue is that before now, have they been giving Nigerians any feedback? Is it the only prosecution that has taken place in Nigeria, or that they have conducted, that involve the so-called high-profile persons? What has happened to all of them? I mean, I think we should begin to tell ourselves the truth in this country.
What kind of truth do we need to tell ourselves?
The truth I'm trying to say is this. As far as I'm concerned, after this arraignment now, you are not going to hear anything about these matters again. And I'm also accusing what do we call it? The journalists in the country, because most times, would I say they are being complicit or what, I don't know. But the truth is this, it's not only, making it to look like a blah. You are arraigning this ex-governor, you are arraigning this person, you are arraigning this person. And in the next 2 years, 3 years, nobody in this country will hear about that matter again.
All right.
Nigerians now, I think we don't know what is happening.
All right, Mr. Wegbu. I believe the purpose of this conversation is actually to address the issue. And this information we got was during a press briefing by the EFCC themselves. And consequently, on this platform, we've also spoken to the spokesperson of the EFCC to give us a brief. So when you say most times the EFCC have not been communicating, I may want to fault that. But let's take that aside. Let's face, the topic here. People have also been saying that speedy trial should be the way to go in terms of how long some of these processes are, being carried out. And also the fact that if we decide speedy trials, possibly a documentation of some of these cases, we still have judgments being given out in a verbatim form. We still have judgments being written. What's the role of the judiciary in all of this?
Well, first of all, let me also say this, correct this because I think we're doing justice to the topic. When we're talking about EFCC arraignment, with what they have done so far, and they did the right thing about it, I think we are in line with what we're saying. Now, the truth about the matter is this. Yes, if you come on the side of the leader, let's be holistic and realistic in all these issues we are talking about and discussing. There are issues that are involved here. One is not only EFCC, like you have said. EFCC will do their own job by arraigning the suspects because they are suspects until proven guilty. That is what the law says. And the judiciary will also do its own role by making sure that the first trial and the accordance every thing as stipulated by law and make sure that it is taken to a logical conclusion, especially if the EFCC are interested in prosecuting the matter to a logical conclusion. Now, coming to that, the judiciary has its own role. And what is the role of the judiciary? When a matter has been taken to court, it is the role of the adjudicator, that is the judge, to look into the matter and check whether a prima facie case has actually been made against the suspect, that is the alleged crime being committed. And the court will sit on it. and look at it vis-a-vis the evidence of the prosecution and the defense of the defendant, and at the end of the day, come to a logical conclusion and give it value. So the judiciary is the last here when you talk about it. And again, one thing you should understand, and most times when people say judiciary, remember that when somebody is arraigned in court, it is the duty of the prosecution to continue and prosecute that matter to a logical conclusion. If along the line on the way, the prosecution decides to withdraw the matter, or decide to bring what we call a wasteful attitude about the matter, judiciary is not a for Christmas. You will not expect judiciary to do anything. That is the truth. And that is why at times, I said something before, but your colleague in the studio said something. You see, and at that point, the judiciary, their hands will be tied. There's nothing they will do. Judiciary cannot arrest somebody and also give evidence against that person. The duty of the judiciary or the adjudicator or the judge there is to listen to both parties and come to a conclusion. That is the work of the judiciary. It's not the judiciary that will do the matter for the EFCC or for the police.
Okay, so but we have seen situations where suspects have been arrested without sufficient investigation being carried out, so they are getting to court without information or evidence at their hand, which you have just mentioned. What more can be done to further strengthen our fight against corruption?
Well, it is like I said earlier, and let me repeat, it is not the duty of the judiciary.
Definitely,
to
yes.
go and dig for evidence. Fine. It is the duty of the prosecution, that is the EFCC here, or any other anti-graft agency, to do a realistic investigation. You know, in order to prove your not, it's not just bringing somebody to court. When you bring somebody to court, you must actually need evidence, adduce evidence,
okay,
in order to make sure.
Do they actually do their due diligence before going to court, before arresting anyone?
Yes, definitely. In fact, one of the problems we have in Nigeria, especially with EFCC, is that most times, not even only EFCC, even the police, most times they don't do due diligence by digging to get evidence before taking somebody to court. And that is why our system is a bit different from the Western society. In the Western society, they make sure, even if it takes them 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, to gather evidence against somebody before taking that person to court. So here, we rush to court before looking for evidence. And that is why at times, you see when they arrest somebody, they employ so many tactics in order to extract information from the person and all the rest. That is wrong. And most times, when you now go to court, let's say, I think EFCC sometime years back, coming to court against one person with 50 count charge, 70 count charge. Anyhow, you can suspend for charge. That is the problem at the end of the day. Not a perspective. So you usually bring 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 count charge against somebody, and you know that you can really prove those allegations against that person. Let me tell you, every trial is about facts. The law says that you must prove your case beyond reasonable doubt. And once you do not prove your case beyond reasonable doubt, the matter has to be resolved in the favor of the defendant or accused person.
All right, Mr. Wegbo. Maybe in a bit to address this issue or to, attack it head on, that's why some governors decided to question the legality of the EFCC in the first place. We're still discussing the EFCC announcing the successful prosecution of about 4 former governors and 2 former ministers over the past 12 months. And this was given by the EFCC. This information was given by the EFCC while giving its 1-year scorecard of its chairman, Olau Lukoidi. And we still have with us lawyer Justice Uhebu. I was talking to you about the fact that some of these governors now decided to question the legality of the EFCC so as to, possibly prevent a prosecution in the long run. But let's talk about some of the reforms that is possible in terms of stopping those with questionable moral in the first place. I'm hoping you can hear me. So I'm saying that we should talk about some of the reforms that can be put in place in ensuring that those with questionable morals should not run for public offices because this will, in a way, have a dent on those who decide to do the right thing.
Well, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
As far as I'm concerned, you see, the issue here is for us to understand and to always make sure that the society survives and thrives and, the normal things are done. Let me tell you the truth. EFCC was set up for a purpose in the first place. And for some time, at the time, the purpose why EFCC was set up seems to be defeated. Because like we said, the high-profile people. And that's why, like I said earlier, at the time Nigerians begin to, lack confidence in this issue of fight against corruption. Because me and you know, and every Nigerian know, that the major problem we have in the country, especially Nigeria today, as it is corruption. And that is why it seems Nigeria is a bit stagnant, not moving to the place it was supposed to go. But when you begin to see that most times you hear about prosecution, arrest by EFCC, at the end of the day, nothing is done about it and all the rest. Nigerians begin to wonder, why all these things? Why all these buraha and all this? And now let me also tell you this. I don't see anything wrong. Like this matter they have mentioned now. I don't see anything wrong when these matters are followed up and shown or televised publicly in the national television so that Nigerians and people will know. That is how it's supposed to be. So, correct. It's not only coming out to say this is your scorecard in the last 1 year, this, that. We're not interested in all those things. It is your duty. It is your job. Nigerians want to see things happening. Nigerians want to see or hear that this person has been convicted, this person is serving this person is doing this person is doing this. So it will serve as a deterrent to other corrupt people and politicians outside. There is not only politicians that are corrupt. Go to the ministries, go to everywhere. There's corruption everywhere. So what are we doing? When we say high-profile person is the ones you know. And remember, these high-profile persons cannot even, do anything without calculate an alliance with the people under. And now, it takes me to what I was saying the other day. When we talk about corruption, people who used to misunderstand this whole issue. I ask them a question. Okay, can you define corruption for me? Black's Dictionary, edition, describes corruption as any dishonest conduct. Any dishonest conduct. So if you're dishonest in your conduct, you are a corrupt person. That is the truth.
This dishonest conduct can be relative,
Yes. But the thing is that in your conduct, are you honest or dishonest? Because it is this honest conduct that, metamorphose to what you call corruption.
Yeah, that's why I asked. That's why I said it can be relative, because you are discussing, we are here asking questions. Our conduct can be seen as dishonest.
No, yes. If you are not honest in your conduct, you are corrupt. There are no two ways about it.
So that means we have to now define honesty as well. So that's why I said, that's why I asked if it's relative.
Does honesty have an omnibus provision or omnibus meaning? Honesty does not have an omnibus meaning. That is the truth.
Okay,
so, what honesty is.
Okay, so can EFCC be truly can it be seen to be doing his job when we still have government appointing the chairman of the EFCC?
Well, you see, that is one of the arguments you have brought all this while or earlier before now. You know, this issue of who pays the piper dictates the tune. So what I will say, you have said it all.
So you're suggesting that the EFCC chairman should be appointed independently of the government?
Are you?
Mr. Wegbu, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
If the president continues appointing the EFCC chairman, that's whether you like it or not, let's be realistic to ourselves. It means that the EFCC is not independent. Because if EFCC wants to go after me, and I have, influence with Mr. President, I have relationship with him, Mr. President can always, or anybody in the government, as far as the government is concerned, especially in the federal level, can always call the chairman of the EFCC. I'm interested in this matter. And that matter will die a natural death. That's what it's about it. It's not like what is happening in the judiciary also. I'm also one of the people that says the president should not appoint the CJN.
All right.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Wegbu. So let's paint a picture here. When you see, these former governors go ahead to become ministers, become ambassadors and all that, and we see another governor coming in after that, what does this spell for, for continuity of this kind of things, and also ensuring that the EFCC finish up with the prosecution process?
Yes, you remember we have in this country situations where former governors who have been unknown to have involved in corruption cases, or pending in court, or EFCC and all the rest, and they still contest election and become legislators in the Senate. So in such matter, such people, the so high court profile people, how do you now continue to prosecute that person and take the matter to a logical conclusion? It's not possible. And we have suggested earlier before now that if we want to move forward and want to be realistic to ourselves, there should be a law, a legislation that any former governor or any government official who has a pending EFCC matter or a pending matter anywhere should not be allowed to contest any further election until the case is dispensed with. But of the same corruption we are talking about, nobody listens to it. So that is why the problem will continue. Because if you look at most of them in the Senate today, that are former governors, at some time or the other, they all have EFCC matters. Or they were all invited by the anti-graft agency, waiting for prosecution. But remember that somebody up there will always say, go on with the prosecution or not. Now, what we are getting in Nigeria today is a situation where if the national is not happy with you, or you're not in the cabal, that is the only time you can be prosecuted. But if you're within the cabal, you cannot be prosecuted. So what are we saying?
All right. So let's talk about a quick recovery of, some of these assets and fraud prevention process. Perhaps we should be looking at a way the EFCC can also monitor, despite immunity and other factors of these governors along the line, to ensure that, they do not put their hands fully into the pockets of Nigerians. How do we address that?
Well, for me, you see, the problem we have in Nigeria is what I call lack of sincerity of purpose. Because if you have sincerity of purpose, and if every Nigerian, especially the ones that are being elected into office, will understand that you're being elected to go and serve the people and not your political party or not your person, I think we'll be talking a different thing here. Because remember, even for the governor to spend a dime in any state, that money must be appropriated by the state assembly. And if not, it becomes a crime. Then me and you know that today, almost all the state assemblies of various states have turned to errand boy to the governor. And that is why we're getting all these things. In fact, let me tell you the truth. If we want to get it right, I make this to say this. If we want to get it right, if any governor is being arrested for misappropriation of funds of any state, all the House of Assembly members during his tenure should also be arrested and charged together. Because the governor couldn't tamper with any money. If the money is not.
Hello, Mr. Uwegbu.
Dr. Uwegbu, can you hear me? Are you still with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Right, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, it is also the duty of the state assembly to monitor the spending of all those money that is being appropriated. And they are not doing it. So what you not see that corruption country. You not see where the honest conduct country. When I talk about the honest conduct. So it means, whether you like it or not, like in the criminal code, we talk about section 7, parties to an offense. Everybody who counsels, who procures, who solicits, who advises, even and abetting, if you commit an offense, it's good to have committed that same offense. So as far as I'm concerned, if you want to get it right, if you arrest any governor for misappropriation of funds of any state, arrest all the House of Assembly members during his tenure. Let all of them face the position.
Mr. Uwegbu, that's a lot of arrest, actually.
It's quite a lot.
But if
to get it right, no problem.
well, we also, cannot totally take out the judiciary from this. While we're also saying that the EFCC has to be independent, it's a multi-stakeholder decision and action to ensure that corruption is nipped in the bud. And that's where we have the legislation, the executive and the judiciary to ensure that these persons are brought to book as a society.
Several legal luminaries came out to dissect the case and unravel that the 16 governors may be right in terms of the manner the EFCC discharges her duties. Many also lambasted the governors, claiming that they do not want to be questioned by external bodies, thereby giving them the free go-ahead to continue to loot the commonwealth of the Nigerian people.